Turning to a huge story about the Trump Organization, a major bank determined that it was violating money laundering rules. Capital One had to close basically 300 bank accounts linked to Trump Org. This was back in 21, and that was because of the idea that there were money laundering rules violated. This is a serious process. The bank's financial crimes team, with decades of law enforcement experience, made that call, as Reuters and NPR have reported. Now, the Trump Org has brought this all to light because they're suing, claiming a political discrimination that this related to Jan 6. The bank basically saying no, and we have the receipts to show at least the rule violations that concern. Whether or not actual money laundering occurred has not really been litigated. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is gutting a law that is supposed to deal with shady shell companies that are used for money laundering, which is suspicious. There are more and more comparisons to Putin. In fact, we just heard from Russian-born novelist and Trump and Putin critic Gary Steingard on these parallels.
You wouldn't even do corruption this openly in a country like Russia. You would not do that brazen, obvious level of corruption. This is like old school, I don't know, 17th century, the king is always right and takes whatever he wants levels of corruption. I mean, nobody crimes like this.
Nobody crimes like this, and that's the Putin comparison. We're joined by NYU history professor Ruth Ben-Ghiat, author of Strongmen, Mussolini to the Present. What do you see here?
Yeah, I see corruption is at the heart of how autocrats operate, and transparency is the enemy of corruption. And so what is going on here, trying to, gut this corporate Transparency Act, which was a bipartisan measure. It was one of many things the Biden administration did to make financial malfeasance more difficult. And Marco Rubio called it my corporate Transparency Act. He was very proud of it. And it required people to, when they opened a shell company, to put down a name. So you couldn't be anonymous, and that matters because shell companies, and the U.S. is the largest, it's the country that's at the top of money laundering in the world. This has been so for some years. It's not just money laundering, though. It's funding terrorism, arms trafficking, drug trafficking, all kinds of malfeasance. And so, of course, the Trump administration, it's not only acting to cover up activities of U.S., people engaging in malfeasance, but also its many friends abroad who, Chinese kleptocrats, Russian kleptocrats. And so this is considered very serious. And Senator Malinowski, who was another sponsor of the bill, says it's one of the most lawless and corrupt things this administration has ever done.
And it comes amidst this other reporting that 300 some accounts were closed over what in bank terminology they call these AML concerns. There are major departments, usually called compliance departments, that deal with this. And most operating businesses don't have this type of problem. Now, I want to be clear, as I said, there hasn't been a court process to review whether actual money laundering occurred. But you can get your account closed for less than that because you're not going to jail. They're just saying there's too much smoke here. How do you view that story? And then what Steingard argued is kind of the blatant approach to all this.
So back during the first Trump administration, Congressman Adam Schiff talked about credible allegations of money laundering by Trump businesses, and money laundering through real estate, helping Russians in particular, has long been reputed and an object of interest, let's say. So this goes right into that. But I want to say that. For autocrats, the whole purpose of holding office is totally different than other kinds of leaders. It's not about public welfare. It's about rearranging government to be able to profit privately off of public office. And it's not just you, it's also your family, your kids, and cronies, and the families of cronies. And so we see this in the United States. Yeah. And this has been going on at record speed And so many people have said it's unprecedented in American history, but it's quite shockingly fast as a development, even if you compare it to the first 20 months of foreign autocracies. So we have Trump making $2.2 billion, his sons investing in drones and crypto, and of course, crypto is unregulated. We also have it spreading to the family of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. And so over time, this is how we get to what is called a mafia state, where you have these clans and their economic and financial malfeasance, kind of fiefdoms. And so what every political system, democracies included, can have individual people who are corrupt. Every corporation could have people who are corrupt. But what happens under autocracy is it becomes systemized, and the whole playbook. And so that's why they go after the media, so you can't expose their wrongdoing, and you'll get sued or put in jail. And then you take over the Justice Department and the judiciary, and so you go after you don't go after their crimes. So you have dereliction of duty, and you pardon financial and other types of criminals. Mussolini did that, Pinochet did that, and Trump has done that. And so we're in the middle of a setting up of a system of institutional